What is vulnerability? There was a lot, as you may imagine, from Brené Brown on the subject of vulnerability. And I like some of what she writes very much. I like this. Vulnerability is the willingness to show up and be seen with no guarantee of outcome. I like naming that. But I see vulnerability with more technical precision, as you'll experience. And you can see whether you like the technical precision or if you like the more general invitation. So we'll see what speaks to you, because sometimes one speaks more than the other, or sometimes the other speaks more than the other. The way I see vulnerability is we are vulnerable when people can feel us. And we stay vulnerable when people are resonant. And this is a poem from Mary Oliver. She writes, I don't want to lose a single thread from this intricate brocade of this happiness. I want to remember everything, which is why I'm lying awake, sleepy, but not sleepy enough to give it up. Just now, a moment from years ago, the early morning light, the deft, sweet gesture of your hand reaching for me. So I want to go a little farther with this idea of precision, which is a bit of a shock after the Mary Oliver poem. But we're going to look at the instrumental brain. Our instrumental brain, our get things done brain, does not allow others to feel us. It doesn't allow others to sense our vulnerability. It doesn't allow others to know how much we care. The instrumental brain does the following non-relational emotions very well: blame, anger, resentment, grievance, happiness, non-emotionality, logic, explanations, justification, and being fine. None of these things have any relationship whatsoever to vulnerability. So when Brené Brown says vulnerability is the willingness to show up and be seen with no guarantee of outcome, I would say vulnerability is the ability to show up and be seen and avoid blame and anger and resentment and translate them and do our work so that we can move to emotions that are more connecting and more vulnerable. There are also a whole kingdom of instrumental brain expression of emotions are the indefinite emotion words. Words like worried, anxious, disturbed, perturbed, concerned, troubled, bothered, distressed, upset, uneasy, and disquieted. These are also not vulnerable. These words reveal that something is up, but they don't move us into vulnerability. It's much easier to say, I don't give a damn, than it is to say, I'm hurt. This is from Brené Brown, too. We have to open our relational brains in order to be vulnerable. We have to reveal our love, our fear, our pain, our brokenheartedness, our grief, our sorrow, our shame, our alarmed aloneness. We can also, depending on context, reveal our loneliness and our hurt, but both loneliness and hurt hold a flavor of blame sometimes, depending on context, and can leave vulnerability behind. The emotional circuit that brings people closer to us more than anything else is the panic grief circuit, is disclosing shame and alarmed aloneness, is the most neurobiologically inviting emotion that we can share if and only if the other person has a window of welcome for sorrow, shame, alarmed aloneness. If they don't have a window of welcome for those experiences, if they get upset or need to give advice or need to reframe our world for us, they're not accepting the gift of our vulnerability. And then we can't sustain it. Because when somebody comes up back with advice, when we share vulnerably, then there's a cortisol crash. And it's very stressful for us as humans.